Christmas morning, the room glows with twinkling lights and the scent of pine, but my heart shatters. My parents, eyes gleaming, hand my sister a small silver box. She rips it open, revealing a house key, a whole damn house, handed to her like she's royalty. Me? A cold pat on the back and a dismissive, "You'll understand someday." Fury chokes me, my chest tight with years of being overlooked. Why does she get the world while I'm left with nothing but pain? If your family's betrayal ever cut you deep, smash that subscribe button. This story of lies and heartbreak will unravel everything. That Christmas morning left a wound I can still feel, but let me take you back to who we are and how we got here. I'm Lauren Mitchell, 30 years old, a marketing specialist at a tech startup in downtown Seattle. My apartment, a sleek 800 square foot space overlooking Puget Sound, is my sanctuary, proof of the life I've built on my own. I've always been the practical one, the daughter who pays her bills on time, saves for the future, and never asks for help. But no matter how high I climb, my parents barely notice. My sister, Chloe Mitchell, is 28, a free-spirited artist with wild blonde hair streaked with paint. She's the dreamer, always chasing her next big break, but her canvas is usually empty, and her bank account's even emptier. Yet, to my parents, David and Susan Mitchell, Chloe's their shining star. They run Mitchell's Sweet Haven, a cozy bakery 5 miles out in Ballard, famous for its blackberry scones. But lately, I've noticed fewer customers and tired lines on my parents' faces. When I ask if business is okay, Dad just says, "Focus on your career, Lauren," and changes the subject. Growing up in our craftsman-style house, Chloe and I were like fire and ice. I aced school, won scholarships, and landed my dream job. Chloe? She'd skip class to sketch under the Fremont Troll, then cry to Mom when her rent was due. At family dinners, Mom would gush, "Chloe, your art's gonna change the world," while my promotions got a quick, "That's nice, honey." Last Thanksgiving, I shared I'd led a campaign that boosted our company's revenue by $2 million. Mom nodded, then turned to Chloe. "Sweetie, tell us about that gallery you're applying to." I bit my tongue, but the sting was sharp. I love my family, but I've always felt like an outsider in their warmth. This Christmas, I thought things might change. I was wrong. If you've ever felt unseen by the people you love most, stay with me. The secrets we're about to unravel will hit you hard. The sting of that Christmas morning wasn't new. It was just the loudest echo of a pain I'd carried for years. Growing up in our Seattle home, I always knew my place, the steady daughter who didn't need saving. But that role came with a cost, one that grew heavier with every family gathering where Chloe shone brighter. The unfairness wasn't just in the gifts or the praise, it was in the way my parents, David and Susan, seemed to see only her struggles, never mine. And as I watched Mitchell's Sweet Haven falter, I couldn't shake the feeling they were hiding something big. Take Thanksgiving 2024, just a month before that fateful Christmas. I'd driven the 5 miles from my downtown apartment to our family's craftsman house in Ballard, buzzing with pride. I just closed a marketing campaign that brought in $2.5 million for my company, securing my team through a round of layoffs. At dinner, I started to share, "Guys, I led this huge project," but Mom cut me off. "Lauren, that's great, but Chloe's landlord just hiked her rent again. We're worried she'll lose her studio." Chloe, sitting across the table with her paint-splattered sweater, sighed dramatically. "It's been so hard to focus on my art," she said. Dad jumped in, "We'll figure it out, sweetheart. You're too talented to give up." I swallowed my news, my fork scraping the plate. My triumph felt like a whisper against Chloe's crisis. It wasn't the first time. 2 years ago, at a family barbecue, I announced a promotion that came with a $15,000 raise. Mom smiled politely, said, "That's wonderful, honey," then turned to Chloe. "Tell us about that mural you're painting downtown." Chloe's mural, half-finished and unpaid, got a 20-minute discussion. My raise? Forgotten. I drive back to my apartment, staring at the Puget Sound skyline, wondering why my victories never mattered. Meanwhile, Chloe's rent, her art supplies, her potential, those were sacred. Mom would say, "Chloe's chasing her dreams, Lauren. You're so stable, you don't need us like she does." Stable. The word felt like a cage. The bakery added another layer of unease. Mitchell's Sweet Haven used to draw crowds from across Seattle, but by fall 2024, I noticed empty tables and shorter hours. During a Sunday visit in September, I saw Dad scrubbing counters alone, his usual crew gone. "Where's everyone?" I asked, leaning against the display case. He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. "Just a slow day, Lauren. Don't worry about it." But I did worry. The ledger I glimpsed on the counter showed red ink, numbers that screamed trouble. When I pressed Mom later, she deflected, "Your dad's got it under control. Focus on your job." Their secrecy gnawed at me, a warning I couldn't ignore. By December, the tension was a knot in my chest. I loved my family, but every interaction felt like a reminder. Chloe was the heart, I was the backbone. Christmas was our tradition, a time when I hoped, foolishly, that they'd finally see me. I'd spent weeks planning something big, something to prove I wasn't just the stable daughter. But as I packed for that Christmas Eve drive, doubt crept in. Would this holiday be another stage for Chloe's spotlight? If you've ever felt your family's love come with conditions, you know this ache. Stay with me, because what happened next turned our world upside down. The unfairness of that Christmas morning and the years leading up to it wasn't just a wound, it was a fire pushing me to do something drastic. I'd always been the practical daughter, the one who fixed problems quietly, but this time, I wanted my family to see me, really see me, not as the stable Lauren who didn't need them, but as someone whose love could change everything. What I found in October 2024, hidden in the chaos of Mitchell's Sweet Haven, gave me that chance, and I took it, even if it meant breaking my own dreams. It started on a rainy Saturday when I stopped by the bakery to help Mom reorganize the storage room. Dad was out front, forcing a smile for the few customers who braved the Seattle drizzle. As I sorted through dusty boxes of old receipts, I found a manila envelope tucked behind a crate of expired flour. My heart sank as I opened it, foreclosure notices for the bakery, stamped with urgent red ink. The bank was set to seize Mitchell's Sweet Haven in 3 months unless $250,000 in overdue loans was paid. The bakery, the heart of my parents' legacy, where I'd spent childhood summers icing cupcakes, was slipping away, and they hadn't said a word. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked Mom later, my voice tight as we stacked jars of sprinkles. She froze, her hands trembling. "Lauren, it's not your burden. Your dad's handling it." But her eyes darted away, and I knew she was lying. That night, alone in my apartment, I stared at the Puget Sound, the city lights blurring through my tears. I could have confronted them, demanded answers, but I knew Dad's pride would shut me out. Instead, I made a choice, one that would cost me everything I'd worked for. I called the bank the next morning, posing as a concerned family member. The loan officer was blunt, the debt was $250,000, with interest piling up fast. To save the bakery, I drained my savings, $150,000 meant for a down payment on my own house. I sold off stocks, losing $50,000 in potential gains, and took a $50,000 loan against my 401k, knowing I'd pay it back for years. It was a reckless move for someone as cautious as me, but every call, every wire transfer, felt like a rebellion against being the invisible daughter. By mid-November, the debt was cleared, and the bank sent me a satisfaction letter, proof the bakery was safe. I wanted Dad to open it on Christmas morning, to feel the weight of what I'd done. At a stationery shop near Pike Place Market, I bought a navy blue gift box, Dad's favorite color, and tucked the documents inside, wrapped in silver tissue paper. As I tied a red ribbon around it, my hands shook with hope and fear. Would they finally see my love wasn't just practical, but fierce? Or would they brush it off, like always, and turn back to Chloe? Packing for Christmas Eve, I felt a storm brewing inside me. The bakery was safe, but at what cost? My dream of owning a home was gone, my financial security cracked. Yet, I clung to the hope that this gift would shift something in our family, that Dad's eyes would light up, that Mom would hug me the way she hugged Chloe. If you've ever poured your heart into proving your worth, only to dread it won't be enough, you know this feeling. What happened when that box was opened changed us forever. The weight of my secret, the $250,000 I'd sacrificed to save Mitchell's sweet haven, sat heavy in my navy blue gift box under the Christmas tree, but as Christmas morning 2024 unfolded, that hope was crushed under a wave of betrayal. The living room in our family's Ballard home glowed with the warmth of twinkling lights and the scent of Mom's cinnamon rolls, but all I felt was a cold, gnawing dread. I'd driven 5 miles from my Seattle apartment the night before, clutching the belief that my gift would finally make David and Susan see me. Instead, I was about to be pushed further into the shadows. We gathered around the tree, the same Douglas fir we'd decorated since I was a kid, its branches heavy with ornaments from childhood crafts. Chloe, in a red sweater that matched her vibrant energy, bounced with excitement, her blonde hair catching the light. Mom, Susan, sipped coffee, her smile tight, while Dad, David, adjusted his glasses, looking oddly nervous. The pile of presents was smaller this year, a silent hint of the bakery struggles I'd uncovered. But one gift stood out, a silver box, no bigger than a deck of cards, wrapped with a glittering bow, labeled for Chloe in Mom's careful handwriting. "Let's start with this one," Dad said, his voice warm as he handed the box to Chloe. Mom pulled out her phone, already recording. "This is a big moment, sweetie," she said, her eyes shining. My stomach twisted. Chloe tore into the wrapping with childlike glee, revealing a velvet case. Inside was a shiny brass key, attached to a keychain shaped like a tiny house. Her jaw dropped. "Is this what I think it is?" she whispered, voice trembling with awe. Dad leaned forward, beaming. "It's a house, Chloe. A 2-bedroom bungalow in Fremont, worth $500,000. We closed last week. It's yours, to focus on your art without worrying about rent." Mom was crying now, happy tears streaking her face. "It's your fresh start," she added, still filming. Chloe launched herself into their arms, sobbing with joy. "I can't believe you did this. How did you even afford it?" she squealed. Dad chuckled, "Don't worry about that, sweetheart. We've been planning this for you." I sat frozen in my armchair, the coffee mug in my hands turning cold. A $500,000 house? For Chloe, who couldn't pay her own rent. The bakery was drowning in debt I just paid off, and they'd somehow bought her a house? My mind reeled, the room tilting as their laughter filled the space. I forced a smile, but my chest burned with a rage I could barely contain. "Wow," I managed, my voice hollow. "That's incredible." 3 heads turned to me, as if they'd forgotten I was there. Chloe's eyes flickered with something, guilt, maybe, but she quickly looked away. "How did you manage this?" I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. "I thought the bakery was tight." Dad's smile faltered, a shadow crossing his face. "It's complicated, Lauren. We made it work for Chloe. She needs this." Mom jumped in, too quickly. "You've got your amazing apartment, your job. Chloe's been struggling. You'll understand someday." There it was again, that phrase, like a slap. Understand what? That my sacrifices, my years of standing on my own, meant nothing next to Chloe's endless needs? I gripped my mug tighter, the pain slicing deeper. My gift for Dad, the one that cost me my future, sat untouched under the tree. If you've ever felt your family's love slip through your fingers while they celebrate someone else, you know this hurt. But what came next was even worse. The joy of Chloe's $500,000 house key still echoed in the Ballard living room, a bitter contrast to the pain searing my chest. My parents' words, "You'll understand someday," cut deeper than any knife, dismissing my years of unseen effort. Under the Christmas tree, my navy blue gift box for Dad held the truth of my sacrifice, $250,000 to save Mitchell's sweet haven, a secret I'd guarded to prove my love. As the celebration for Chloe wound down, I knew the moment was coming. My heart pounded, a mix of dread and defiance, as I braced for what my gift would unleash on this Christmas morning of 2024. The pile of wrapping paper grew, ribbons scattered across the hardwood floor. Chloe clutched her house key, babbling about paint colors for her new Fremont bungalow. Mom, Susan, still teary, suggested curtain styles, while Dad, David, nodded absently, his gaze flickering to the last unopened gift, mine. One more, Mom said, her voice bright but strained, as if sensing a shift. She picked up the navy blue box, its red ribbon catching the tree's lights. This is for you, David, from Lauren. Chloe glanced at me, her excitement dimming, perhaps sensing my tension. Dad took the box, his fingers slow as he untied the ribbon, a habit from leaner years when he'd save wrapping paper. Let's see what my practical daughters got this time, he said, his tone light but edged with something I couldn't place, nervousness. I held my breath, my hands clenching the armrests of my chair. He lifted the lid, peeled back the silver tissue paper, and froze. His face drained of color as he pulled out the loan satisfaction letter, the words, Mitchell's Sweet Haven, paid in full, glaring in black ink. The room went silent, the Christmas carols fading into a distant hum. What is this? Dad's voice was barely a whisper, his hands trembling as he scanned the document. Mom leaned forward, confusion knitting her brow. Lauren, what did you do? She asked, her phone slipping to her lap. Chloe's eyes widened, the house key forgotten in her hand. I swallowed hard, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I found the foreclosure notices in October, in the bakery's storage room. The bank was going to take Mitchell's Sweet Haven in 3 months. I paid off the $250,000 debt to save it. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Foreclosure? David, what is she talking about? Dad's jaw tightened, his eyes locked on the paper. Lauren, how did you even know? He stammered. My anger flared, years of being dismissed boiling over. I know because I saw the red ink, Dad. I saw the notices you hid. Why didn't you tell us the bakery was failing? And how could you buy Chloe a $500,000 house when you couldn't save your own business? The air grew thick, the festive glow of the tree mocking our unraveling. Dad set the letter on the coffee table, his movements deliberate, buying time. We didn't want to worry you, he said finally, his voice cracking. The bakery's been bleeding money for years, supply costs, competition, bad loans. We took out a personal loan, $200,000, to buy Chloe's house. The plan was to sell the bakery before the bank took it, pay off what we could, and move in with her. Chloe's head snapped up, her face paling. Move in with me? So this house wasn't a gift? It was your backup plan? Her voice rose, sharp with betrayal. Mom reached for her, but Chloe pulled away. You lied to me. You made me think this was for my art, but it was for you. Susan's tears returned, not joyful this time. We were helping you, Chloe, and ourselves. We thought it was the best way, she said, her voice breaking. I sat back, the weight of their words sinking in. My sacrifice, my savings, my stocks, my future, had saved the bakery they were ready to abandon. And for what? To fund a lie that propped up Chloe's dreams while burying their own failures? You'll understand someday, Dad had said, but all I understood was neglect. If you've ever uncovered a family secret that shattered your trust, you know this gut punch. But the truth wasn't done with us yet. The living room, once warm with Christmas cheer, now felt like a battlefield, the air thick with betrayal. My $250,000 sacrifice to save Mitchell's Sweet Haven had been laid bare, only to reveal my parents' desperate plan, a $500,000 house for Chloe, not as a gift, but as their escape from the bakery's collapse. Chloe's hurt was palpable, her house key now a symbol of deception. But as the silence stretched on that Christmas morning of 2024, another bombshell was about to drop, one that would shatter the roles we'd all played in this fractured family. Chloe stood abruptly, her blonde hair falling over her tear-streaked face, the key clattering onto the coffee table. Her hands shook, not from joy, but from a raw, unspoken truth. You think I'm the only one who's been lying, she said, her voice low but sharp, cutting through the tension. Mom, Susan, looked up, startled, her coffee mug trembling. Chloe, what are you talking about? She asked, her voice fragile. Dad, David, leaned forward, his brow furrowed. I, Lauren, felt my heart lurch, sensing something seismic. I'm not an artist, Chloe spat, the words bursting out like a dam breaking. I haven't sold a painting in 2 years. I'm a barista at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill, scraping by to pay off a $30,000 debt from a scam art project I fell for last year. I lied to you all because I couldn't bear to disappoint you again. Her voice cracked, and she turned to me, her eyes blazing with shame and defiance. You think I love being the dreamer you all prop up? I've been drowning, Lauren, pretending to be something I'm not just to keep Mom and Dad's love. The room spun. Chloe, the free-spirited artist we'd all tiptoed around, was a barista? The gallery applications, the big breaks she'd rambled about at every family dinner, lies? I stared at her, my anger giving way to a strange, aching empathy. Why didn't you tell us? I asked, my voice softer than I expected. Chloe laughed bitterly, wiping her eyes. Tell you? And watch Mom cry? Or hear Dad say, we always knew you'd struggle. You're the golden child, Lauren. Stable, successful. I've been jealous of you forever, but I couldn't admit I'm a failure. Mom's face crumpled. Chloe, you're not a failure, she whispered, reaching out, but Chloe stepped back. I am to you. You gave me a house because you think I can't survive without you. But I've been surviving, barely, and hating every second of this lie. Dad rubbed his face, his voice hoarse. We thought we were helping you, giving you a chance to shine. Chloe shook her head. You were helping yourselves, using me to feel better about losing the bakery. I sank into my chair, the weight of her words hitting me. Chloe's jealousy mirrored my own, a twisted reflection of the same pain. We'd both been trapped in roles, me the steady one, her the fragile dreamer, while hiding our truths to protect this family. The Christmas tree's lights blinked mockingly, casting shadows over our unraveling. If you've ever discovered the person you envied was just as broken, you know this shock. But we weren't done peeling back the lies. The Christmas morning of 2024 had stripped us bare, each secret a jagged piece of truth tearing through the facade of our family. My $250,000 sacrifice to save Mitchell's sweet haven, my parents' desperate $500,000 house for Chloe as their escape plan, and Chloe's confession, she wasn't an artist but a barista drowning in $30,000 of debt, left us raw, exposed in the Ballard living room. The twinkling Christmas tree stood as a silent witness to our unraveling, but in that heavy silence, something shifted. For the first time, we faced each other, not as roles we'd been assigned, but as flawed, hurting people ready to rebuild. I broke the quiet, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. We can't keep lying like this, I said, looking from Chloe's tear-streaked face to Dad's bowed head. If we're going to be a family, we need to tell the truth, all of it. Susan, my mom, nodded, her hands clasped tightly around her coffee mug. You're right, Lauren, she said softly. We've made mistakes, big ones. David, you start. Dad, his shoulders slumped, looked older than his 60 years. The bakery's done, he admitted, his voice rough. We've been losing $10,000 a month for 2 years. I took out that $200,000 personal loan for Chloe's house, thinking we could sell the bakery and start over. I didn't tell you, Susan, because I was ashamed. Mom's eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face. Ashamed? David, we're partners. You should have trusted me. She turned to Chloe, her voice trembling. And you, hiding that you're a barista? We thought you were chasing your dreams. Chloe's jaw tightened, but her defiance softened. I was scared you'd stop loving me if I wasn't the artist you wanted, she said, her gaze dropping to the house key on the table. Lauren, you've always been the one who had it together. I envied that. I lied to feel like I mattered. Her words hit me like a wave. Envied me? I said, my voice catching. Chloe, I've spent my life jealous of the way they light up for you. Every promotion, every win I shared, got a nod, while your smallest sketch got a parade. I paid off the bakery to prove I could be more than a stable daughter. Chloe's eyes met mine, a flicker of understanding passing between us. I thought you didn't need them, she whispered. You always seemed so strong. Dad cleared his throat, his hands gripping the loan satisfaction letter I'd given him. Lauren, we were wrong to lean on Chloe's struggles and take you for granted. Your sacrifice, $250,000, it's more than we deserve. Mom reached for my hand, her touch warm but hesitant. We thought we were protecting you both, but we built walls instead. I'm sorry, Lauren, for not seeing how much you needed us too. The apologies hung in the air, fragile but real. I took a deep breath, the knot in my chest loosening. We need a plan, I said. The bakery's safe, but that house in Fremont, we can't afford it. Chloe, are you okay selling it? Chloe nodded, pushing the key toward Dad. It was never really mine, she said, her voice steady. Sell it. Pay off the loan, start fresh. Dad looked relieved, his shoulders lifting slightly. We'll close the bakery, he said. Maybe open a smaller stall later, something manageable. And we'll set up a family fund, transparent, no more secrets. As we spoke, the Seattle rain slowed outside, the clouds parting just enough to let a faint light spill through the window. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. For the first time, I felt like we were a family, not a collection of masks. If you've ever longed for a moment where your family finally sees you, hold on. The healing was just beginning. The raw honesty of that Christmas morning in 2024 didn't just break our family's walls, it built a new foundation, one rooted in truth. After the shock of my $250,000 sacrifice to save Mitchell's Sweet Haven, the revelation of David and Susan's $500,000 house for Chloe as their escape, and Chloe's confession of being a barista hiding $30,000 in debt, we chose to heal. 6 months later, in June 2025, the Seattle sun warmed our family's craftsman home in Ballard, and the scars of that winter felt like distant memories. But the lessons we learned, and the love we reclaimed, burned brighter than ever. We gathered for a Sunday brunch, the table crowded with Mom's blackberry scones, a nod to the bakery's legacy. Dad, now 61, moved with a lightness I hadn't seen in years. After closing Mitchell's Sweet Haven, he and Mom opened a small stall at Pike Place Market, selling just enough pastries to cover bills and medical insurance. The $200,000 loan for Chloe's house was paid off after selling the Fremont bungalow for $550,000, leaving a $50,000 cushion for their retirement. It's not much, Dad said, passing me a plate, but it's honest work. No more secrets. Mom smiled, her eyes clear. We're learning to ask for help, Lauren. You taught us that. Chloe, now 29, sat across from me, her blonde hair pulled into a messy bun. She'd traded her barista apron for a graphic design job at a local brewery, her art now a passion, not a pressure. I'm paying off the last $10,000 of my debt, she said, her voice steady. And my new apartment's tiny, 600 square feet, but it's mine, no strings attached. I caught her eye, pride swelling. You're killing it, Chloe, I said, and she grinned, the old jealousy gone. Our late-night texts, sharing work wins or silly memes, had become a new sisterly bond, stronger than any house key. I'd rebuilt too. My promotion to senior marketing manager came with a $20,000 raise, helping me replenish the savings I'd drained for the bakery. My Puget Sound apartment felt like home again, not a reminder of what I'd lost. I'm proud of you, Lauren, Mom said, squeezing my hand, her warmth no longer reserved for Chloe. Dad nodded. You saved more than the bakery, you saved us. Their words, simple but sincere, healed wounds I'd carried for years. Here's the lesson, honesty, even when it hurts, is the only way to build a family that lasts. Don't let secrets fester, speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Set boundaries when helping others, and value every person's worth, not just their struggles. We learned this the hard way, but you don't have to. If you're hiding pain from your family, or feeling unseen, start that tough conversation today. It's worth it. If this story hit you, drop your own family drama in the comments. I read every one. Smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video to spread the power of truth. Let's build a community where no one feels invisible. Stay with me for more stories that cut deep and lift you up. Who's ready to face their own truth? Let me know below.